still don't think I'm quite over what just happened at the Ironman 70.3 World Championships. I hope you all followed along because it was a great race, not just my race, but just in general, it was a really exciting race from start to finish. But as for my race in particular, I put it in my Instagram post, I was a little bit speechless, overwhelmed, and wasn't really sure how to react after the race because I didn't quite believe it. I didn't quite believe that what I'd thought I was capable of actually translated almost perfectly into a race, and I executed that race the best way that I was able to on the day, on the biggest stage I've ever been on. Like, despite the Commonwealth Games, like I said in the last video, and despite all of the other events that I've done, this was the biggest stage I've ever been on, and I was able to go about it in the way that I wanted and needed to on the day. So in this video, I am going to take you through the full race from start to finish, and I'm also going to take you through a couple of the days leading into the race as well, because I think it's all quite important as to like how I was able to get the most out of myself on the day. I will go through the stats, I'll go through what I had to do to come 5th in the world on the 70.3 or in the 70.3 Ironman World Championships. And to be honest, it is quite ridiculous, some of the numbers, especially in the bike leg, that I had to push and like what I was seeing on the screen at the time to stay in touch at the front of the race. And that was the deciding factor. I'll go more into it later in the video, but that was the deciding factor that allowed me to get like high up in the positions, even towards the end of the race.
Finland.
Cool.
Racing.
Wednesday was a full travel day. So basically we travelled up on Tuesday evening, Emily and I, to London, and we stayed overnight with one of Emily's friends. And that meant that we didn't have to wake up too early on the Wednesday to get our early flight to Helsinki. So flew on Wednesday morning, got to Helsinki about, I don't know, it was maybe 1-2 o'clock I think it was, and then we had to train up to Lahti and then get a car, pick up a car from Lahti and get to our accommodation. We got to our accommodation at like 7 p.m. So literally the whole day of traveling, which was knackering. I didn't do any training whatsoever. So literally just scrapped it all off and made sure that I was as rested as I could be for the following day. Thursday, I woke up, went for the most epic open water swim that I've been in a long time. A lake was right next to our accommodation. Our accommodation was 40 minutes outside of Lahti. So we had an amazing lake. Went in my wetsuit, but it was nice and warm. It was not cold whatsoever, which is what I was expecting. And literally just did, I don't know, 3.5-4K worth of swimming Thursday morning, just to like wake the body up, make sure that it was like starting to fire a little bit more, flush out the travel, and just kind of settle back into my rhythm.
Yeah, good. It's nice to be in the water. It's lovely to swim in, like literally stunning. And I don't feel horrendous considering how long and tiring I found yesterday. So, all in all good. Just see how the next couple of days go.
Do you keep getting scared by that bit of seaweed?
Yeah, every time. Like, it's a reoccurring thing throughout my life. Like, as soon as I bump into some seaweed that I'm not expecting, jump out of my skin. Swam to Herm after a night out and bumped into some seaweed near the end, so I was obviously tired already and cramped horrendously. I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to drown. Right. Morning a little bit more chilled if we go for breakfast.
Yeah.
Next up was the athlete briefing. So I had to get there by about 11:30. So still on Thursday, and we had to travel into Lahti, then do the briefing, and then I was planning on doing a bike recce. And this did not go to plan. So what I did was, first of all, forgot my helmet. So Emily had to drop me off in Lahti. I did the pro briefing while she went back to the accommodation, picked up my helmet, and then drove back in with my bike and helmet so that I was able to do a bike recce. So that was incredible. Like, obviously wouldn't have been such an issue if we weren't staying so far out, but we were, so then then I managed to do the bike recce, downloaded the GPX file, the wrong GPX file. So I did not recce the actual course. I recce'd a completely different course. It must have been next year's 70.3 course. But the back end was the same as this year's course. So it didn't matter too much because the roads were pretty straightforward the whole way round. But it would have been nice to have done the actual course anyway. So 2.5 hours later, I'd done the wrong course, gotten back to Emily. We'd had a quick bite to eat, and then, made our way back to the accommodation where we did a little shuffle around together. Like, nothing too much, just kind of moving the legs around.
No.
It's the secret nutrition trick.
This is like nothing that I've ever done before, right? So everything that I've done before is a similar format, but also nowhere near as professional as this was, because the pros had their own pens, they had their own transition areas, whereas you usually share it with the age groupers. I had a bottle, a separate professional bottle area, so I was able to put bottles that I was then going to be picking up on the run, so it's like special nutrition for the run, that I could then target certain distances in the run. I think it was about 5.5k that I was able to pick it up, and I'd have exactly what I needed within that bottle nutrition. Amazing. So I dropped that off in the morning, first thing, just checked my bike over, like put my shoes and stuff on, and then just kind of went to the swim start. And to be honest, I wasn't feeling like outrageously nervous or anything like that. I kind of didn't have too much pressure on myself externally. Internally, yes, of course I wanted to perform, but it was a little bit different because I'd been to the Island Games. I'd had the external pressure and expectation because I think there was a sort of expectation that I might do quite well there, reigning champion, home games, this, that and the other. Whereas this time round, I was a bit of a nobody. Nobody was expecting me to do anything. Even Freddie Funk on the bike said that he came past me being like, who's this guy in the black suit? And even the commentators apparently were not aware of who I was. So it was fine. I didn't have that pressure, only the pressure that I put on myself, which wasn't enormous, to perform. So like just in the 5, 10, 15 minutes prior to the actual race start, I wasn't that nervous. Like, it was quite nice to be involved with all of the other athletes. Like, you had Christian, Sam Long, all of these people that I really respect, just warming up around me. And I was said that I kind of just looked almost too relaxed, like just dawdling, just doing my own thing, prepping for my race. I don't tend to get in for a swim warm-up. I do kind of a run warm-up, whereas everyone else got in the water for a swim warm-up. I went straight to the line because after the first 10 people who were called up, it was like a mass start. So like it was just a free-for-all. You just had to be at the front if you wanted to take your pick of where you were. This was sort of my first mistake because I think I picked wrong. So I started on the far left, as close to the fast people as I could. One, because I thought that's where the pace and the line was going to be, but two, because I tend to breathe to my right so I could also watch the rest of the line. But what happened was, this was the first dive start that I've done, dived in, and everyone just collided. Or at least that's what it felt for me. Like, literally, I could not swim. I was just like in between loads of people, trying to move my arms, and I couldn't. So I just pulled the handbrake, went backwards a little bit, got a little bit of my own space, shifted to the left so I could get as close to the outside as possible, and then sent it up the outside as best as I could until the first buoy, which was probably about 400, 500 meters away. So I was quite far back at this point. I was probably like 25th, even 30th out of 50. And I was just like, this is a nightmare. I looked up and I was like, I am so far back here. But next to me, I managed to find Christian. He was wearing a red cap. And I was like, okay, well, he usually makes the front pack. Don't panic. So I didn't panic and just went as fast as I could up the inside, trying to get as far up the field as I could before the first buoy. I was on the inside for the first buoy, kind of scooted around, made up a couple more places, and then all of a sudden I could kind of see that there weren't too many people ahead, and I could see Ben Canute's green cap. So I was like, okay, settle in, like stay here, don't panic. You're not a million miles off. And I expended quite a lot of energy to get to where I was. So I was just like, okay, just recoup, settle, and kind of prepare for the next stage. The next stage was obviously transition. I had a really, really good transition. I managed to move a couple more places up and had someone fall over just in front of me. I managed to kind of tiptoe around them. And then literally in front of me was Mathis. And I was like, okay, well, I know that he's going to make the front of the race very quickly. Don't you lose that wheel. I lost the wheel very quickly. And I was just like, crap. So went as hard as I could, like to try and stay in touch. And I passed quite a few people. I do not remember how many people, who I was passing, or what was really going on. I was just going really hard at the start of that race. The numbers do also say as much. I pushed 385 watts for the first 22 minutes of that race to try and make the front. And the front ended up being around 7 of us at that point. So 22 minutes into the race, the pack was kind of formed. I was the last one to kind of connect to that pack. I had to come around Ben Canute. Like I was like that. Every time you went up a hill, they would punch over the top of the hill, and then I'd be 40 meters back by the time that I got going over the top of the hill. So it took me about 60 kilometers to get used to this. And I'd been dropped a couple of times at this point and had to put in massive surges just to get back on. But it was, yeah, like I said, it was about 60, 70k into the race that I started to kind of learn how to do this, how to kind of work the group dynamic to try and not be dropped every time. And it was reassuring that I could get back on, that I was fast when I needed to be, and that they couldn't drop me even though I was off the back. Yes, it was massive expenditure and I didn't need to necessarily punch that hard every time that I did it. I probably would have rolled back on, but yeah, it was very difficult. I made it very difficult for myself by being at the back, the concertina effect, and kind of just not riding the course very well. That being said, I did stay in touch. Like there were massive surges. I managed to be there, like, which was really, really, really reassuring, should I say, for my biking. And yeah, I did drop off the back just towards the end, but it wasn't so bad. I managed to reconnect to the back of like Justice Nieschlag just before the end, and I came out of transition just ahead of Jan Stratman, I think. So unbelievable. We did drop someone en route, so it was a group of 6 of us essentially. I think Freddie and Mathis were just off the front of that group of 6 coming out of transition. The numbers on the bike were ridiculous. I think it was about 350 watts normalized, about 335 average for the whole thing, and about 46.5 kilometers an hour for the whole thing as well. I looked down at one stage and it was 48 kilometers an hour. Literally bonkers. Like, what on earth was that ride? It was so quick, so difficult even at the back. And yeah, kudos to everyone who managed to run off that bike because it was so tough. The hardest bike I've ever done in my life. There wasn't much to report on the run other than the fact that I was just running scared the entire time. Like I just assumed people were going to be coming at me. And when I started hearing splits of like over 3 minutes, I was like, this is possible. I could hang on to this. But still assumed that they'd catch me just because it's happened every single time so far. So I was running as hard as I could, or as hard as I was willing to go. And yeah, it was a rolling course and it was really tough, but that kind of suits me. I'm kind of like a strong athlete. Not a light athlete, but kind of atricious, so I can keep on plugging away. I had loads of people chasing me down, in particular James Teagle and Sam Long. They were just absolutely munching into me for that first lap. I think they took 90 to 2 minutes out of me on that first lap alone. And I was just trying to hold on for dear life, but luckily they slowed down a little bit and they closed it to, I think it was 60 seconds, but didn't actually make too much inroads after that. So about 7k before the end, I think we were pretty much running even, / they might have been going backwards a little bit. I think James was a little bit sick and Sam had just run out of energy completely. So I managed to hold on, basically. I held on for 5th in the world, and like I said, I didn't know what to do with myself. It was unbelievable. The emotions that I was feeling coming across that line was second to none. And I still don't think it's fully sunk in. Every now and again, I manage to like clock someone on Instagram that I follow along, I respect, I kind of idolize, and they've said that they're absolutely buzzing with a top 15 or a top 10. Or even the people that came ahead of me in the press conference were saying that they were just aiming for a top 5 and they couldn't believe that they'd done as well as they'd done. And I'm there now, sitting there like, that's me. Like, I'm there. I'm kind of achieving what they set out to achieve. And look, it doesn't matter. I know there's loads of things out there with regards to people not being fit when they got there, or they were being ill, or whatever it is. The fact of the matter is, like, people target this race, and you have to target this race to be fit and healthy. And if you're not fit and healthy for the race, which was a massive goal of mine, and I've spoken about it in the previous videos, being like, my main target now is just to arrive fit and healthy. If you don't arrive, then you can be crucified for that, because what happened. Like, a lot of people really struggled with illness or injury or not being fit enough. And yeah, I think that's just a testament to the guys on the podium, like, hopefully kind of a testament to myself for like getting there fit and healthy and being able to execute what I'm capable of on the day. Like, I couldn't have asked for anything more.
Oh shit, I actually wasn't filming.
Are you joking?
So I didn't
Are you
get
filming
that bit.
now?
I'm filming now.
Okay.
No, I wasn't lying.
Okay, so I'm standing here with the 5th best Ironman 70.3 athlete in the world at the Vinfast Ironman 70.3 World Championship. Gotta get the brand in.
And also, wait, Ironman are going to pay for this if it's copyrighted?
Not on the record. Not when
Off the
It was going to have
record.
at least £10,000 worth of credits as well, so you know.
if it's oh, we better go because the choir is
Oh,
starting.
oh.
I'll get some food. I'll catch you in a bit.
Let's do it! Let's make it loud! We move into our top 5. And how's this for a stat? 3 of the top 5. For them, it was their very first 70.3 World Championship. In a time of 3 hours, 36 minutes and 45 seconds. Also representing Great Britain, it is Joshua Lewis, 5th place. Your 4th place finisher, representing France with a total time of 3 hours.
So yeah, it was an unbelievable event. Like, the infrastructure that Ironman put together, the whole event organization, everything was incredible. And even after the race, being bombarded with messages, like people congratulating me that I had no idea who they were, even people before the race saying good luck, like, hope it goes well, I follow your YouTube channel, all of that sort of stuff is incredible and I love it. And don't ever stop. If you do catch me, like, just say hi. I'm always keen for a chat and to hear what you're up to and this, that and the other. But yeah, so in particular, I just wanted to say thank you so much to Gavin and his family. Hope you guys had an incredible day out there as well. We met in the hotel that we were staying in. Alessandra and Tim also in that hotel, and the GPC coaching crew as well. Like, everyone was so nice, so welcoming, and yeah, very complimentary. And it was just nice to spend that time around those people leading into the event as well. So yeah, if you got to this part of the video and you did hear your name, like, yeah, thank you very much. It's probably been a really long video by this point, but if you did get to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the support. Thank you for all of the comments, the likes, in person, congratulations. Absolutely everything. It's been overwhelming so far. Yeah, like, if you haven't already, do like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.